Hey y'all, and welcome back to Skyrim Scripting. In this episode, the partially ghost dog and I are going to do a bonus episode and introduce you to Git and GitHub, mainly GitHub. Now, here's why. Some beeping outside. When you play Skyrim and you enter a cave and you or some kind of dungeon and tomb and you've gone through one door into the next area, and you've gone into, you're about to go into the third area, and you know the big bad boss is there. What do? Do you save your game? Now, when you're working on mods, you should also be saving as you go along. And I don't just mean like make some change, save, make some change, save. You should be able to go back to the last save. Or if you want to decide, oh, jeepers creepers, going into this cave at level 5 was completely wrong and I shouldn't have gone down this path at all. Maybe I'll load this again some other time, but I want to go back even further. You should be using, really, GitHub. The only exception I can think of is if your project has gigs and gigs of files. Git isn't particularly good at storing that, but you can still use Git for all of your scripts, and you don't have to store any of your textures and meshes and whatever are big files in there. So we are going to get set up with GitHub Desktop. You're going to need a GitHub account, and it's free. So you can go to github.com and sign up. I just logged in. Whatever, it's free. And then when you want to make a new project, they're called repositories. You can make a repository on the website like this, repository. It looks like these. Or you can do it via a desktop tool. You're going to want the desktop tool. You might still make your projects via this, but the desktop tool is, I promise, what you're going to want for modding. So let's kick off this installer. This is a bonus episode because I did this whole tool series, right? And so this is a freshly formatted PC. I was like, cool, I can start coding new mods. And I tried to do another screencast episode. And I was like, oh no, I'm missing tools. I don't have GitHub. And I can't do any of my episodes without GitHub. So it'll ask you to sign in. So you can sign in with the website. Sure, always allow. And it signs us in. Sure, there's an email address. And I'll use that. That doesn't really matter unless you're contributing to other projects or if other people are working on your project. It's just the name that will show up whenever you make commits, which is the name for a save game. So here we can create a new repository, just file, new repository. This will show up on our hard drive to start with, but then we can push it up. Now, I want to show you how to do this with modding though, because normally what I don't do is create a GitHub repository and then like try and put my ESP files into it. I make the mod first. So let's make a mod. It doesn't really have to have any files or whatever. I'm just going to say create empty mod and we'll call it whatever. We'll call it whatever. I could delete pickup lines and I could create it again. I'll call it hello mod. And I'll turn it on and tell Creation Kit to put all of its files into hello mod. And we'll do this as quickly as possible. We're already 4 minutes into this episode. I'll just make it say hello world. So we're just going to open Skyrim, hit OK. I'm going to set my T. Okay, that's fast. If yours takes for a while, it takes ages to do that, you're probably not using the Creation Kit fixes, which you should be using. Check out my Creation Kit episode, a couple episodes before this. So let's make a new quest. And we'll call it Hello Mod Quest. I'm going to copy that so I can easily filter the list. Hit OK before we do anything else with the quest. As always, search for this. If I want to, I can go ahead and hit the save button. I like doing that, speaking of save games. And we'll save it into the data folder because that's where Creation Kit thinks it's saving things. And we'll open up the quest, and I'm just going to make a Hello World script. Just script. We'll say new script. It'll extend a quest, and it'll be hello mod script. Oop. Normally I would open up Visual Studio Code, and actually, yeah, let's do that because this would be a real mod. So I'm going to save, and then we'll start the scripting in Visual Studio Code. So what I have here is, if I open up this mod in Explorer, I have an ESP, and it has scripts in it. Now, I could go ahead and set this up in Visual Studio Code and then Gitify it, or I can Gitify it now. It doesn't matter when. Let's do it now. So I'm just going to close, and I'll open up GitHub Desktop, which I'm going to pin to my taskbar. I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to call this Hello Mod. The coolest Skyrim mod ever. Not. Local path. I don't care where it puts it. I don't care at all. Let it just choose its default. Let it choose its default. Initialize it with sure, it can have a readme, and give it a license for that'll apply to your code. Give it the MIT license unless you understand licenses and have a good reason why why to do something else. Apache's also good. It obviously recommends these. Don't use the GNU GPL license unless you absolutely know why. Don't use that license, even if you've heard that it's awesome. Go read for yourself, and you better understand why you're using it. So what we're going to do is, now that it made this repository, we're going to repository, show and explore, and now it's going to bring us to this folder where it made some files. Now if you can't see the .git directory, go to View, Options, Change Folder, and Search Options, go to View, and make sure that you have Show Hidden Files, Folders, and Drives on, and you'll be able to see that. That's important because we're going to move it. We're going to our Hello Mod folder, and we're just going to say, whatever, GitHub, I don't care where you put it. I'm going to put the files over here. And then when we go back to GitHub, it's going to say, hey, I can't locate this. Where'd you put it? And we'll say, we put it in our mods, Hello Mod, and just select the folder. And so now everything is set up, and it can see that there's some new files. There's a meta ini, which comes from Mod Organizer 2. That can stay. We don't care about it. We could ignore it and not put it in the repository if we wanted to using a git ignore file. And there's the compiled and source code files. We just go ahead and say initial commit. If you really, really want to, I'll show you that. I'll show you how to ignore that meta ini file if you're really in the mood. Let's set this up as a Visual Studio Code Papyrus project. Open up Visual Studio Code. We installed this like 2 episodes ago. As we do, go to the Papyrus scroll, go to the triple dots, and generate Skyrim Special Edition project files, and just browse, like we always do, to our mod folder and hit select. And it creates them there. And if you followed along with our tutorial, then you have workspaces installed. Otherwise, you could just go to Hello Mod and double-click on this code workspace, and it'll open up a new Visual Studio Code. Git not found, blah, 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 blah. Sure, download Git. GitHub comes with its own Git installed. You don't need to download Git. If you download like Git from git-scm.com, apparently it's not git.com, Visual Studio Code will have built-in Git integration, so I'm going to do it. If you are a Mac or Linux user, hold on, this might do a black screen while it starts to install. Cool, screen went black while the installer came up. If you are a Mac or a Linux user normally, you don't need the GUI, then you're going to want this option called Git Bash here. And we'll hit next, and next, and next, and next, and next, and next. Just take all of its defaults. Take them all. Take them all. You're going to want that Git Bash thing, because if you've ever used the terminal on Mac or Linux, or if you use the Linux terminal, which actually you can use on Windows that comes with it, if you install it, you can open up one of those little windows anywhere and run bash commands. I often use this to search for source code in mods. Like here's pickup lines, and sometimes I'll go to the script source directory. It might have lots of files. I'll do right click, git bash here, and if you're familiar with bash and you care about terminals, then you can do your favorite recursively search for like, I don't know, player or like debug dot, and it'll print out all of the instances of it. If you don't use terminals, then just ignore all of that and know that the reason that it's good to install Git is so that Visual Studio Code can, let's close and reopen it, knows about your Git if you care. See, now it knows that there's a bunch of pending changes, and it'll tell you with colors whether or not you've committed the change to your file. It's useful. Not as useful as having the Git desktop for me. But so now we have all these files, and if we go back to our GitHub desktop, we can see, ooh, more files got added. Here's the PPJ file. Here's the tasks and JSON file. We're familiar with the tasks file and the PPJ file from the episode a couple episodes ago. And we could just say like initial save. But I want to show you how to ignore files if you want to. So you can just right click anywhere in the Explorer. New file. This file starts with a dot, so you say dot git ignore, all one word, and then you can put patterns in here, like you can put whole names of files like meta.ini, but usually I also do .bsa and .zip, or if you're packaging with 7-zip, I'll do that, I'll save, and so you don't accidentally commit your Bethesda Softworks archives or your zip archives or anything to this folder. And if you had giant textures and stuff, you could say, I don't want my DDS files in here. I keep my textures in my Git repository because they're small, tens of meg or gigs of something, or megs, not gigs and stuff. So we go back here. We no longer see the meta ini in our list of things that get uploaded. You could even get rid of the .vs code folder, save this, and it won't show up. You should include the .vs code folder. And so we'll do what I said. We'll just save this as initial save. You can put in an extra description for yourself if you want. Extra description, commit to master, that just means save, and then you publish it. We haven't pushed it anywhere yet, so it's going to ask us, do you want to make a new repository? We may as well use the tool for this. By default, it'll make a private repository, so nobody else is going to see this code. Whenever you're ready to, via the website, you can make it public. So we can make it public, or we can make it private. I'll keep it private. We'll push this up. I already have a hello mod from previous testing. Let's go here. Can I rename it? Hello mod 2, whatever. I've done a lot of fake mods for screencasting. And then you can go to repository and view it on GitHub. And here it is. Now, if you want, like, you don't even have to ever browse it on GitHub. You can just use this to make sure that you're always saving changes. And, you know, I'm such a command line user. I always use the command line to go back to old versions. I'm sure there's great tutorials on using GitHub Desktop to go back to old versions. The main thing that I use the UI for is, let's say I'm working on my script and I make a bunch of changes, and it turns out that it totally breaks, and I want to go back to the old version. I want to, what is it, F9 to go back to the last quick save, and I just right click on this and I just discard changes, and it'll be like, do you want to discard this? I'll say I always want to, and yeah. Yeah, if we wanted to go back to history, just click on history and you'll see your full list of all of your changes. And if I go to this initial commit, I could create a branch from this commit called old stuff. Create a branch. And now what you can do is on your local VS Code, or in the file system, because you won't even see that much stuff, go to repository, open an Explorer. This brought up the version of the repository that just had a README. This is the one that was automatically created for us, and it's called old stuff. if we switch to main is what the default one is called, we can say bring my changes over. Just go back to your folder. It automatically updates your folder. So now here's I don't care about that file. Here's your scripts. So if we update our scripts, we can go to repository, open it up in Visual Studio Code directly from here. Although we don't have the workspace open, and it'll give us a little prompt to open up the workspace. And if I change this to say, like, I don't know, event on init debug dot message box hello from mod, I can save it. I can compile it with Control-Shift-B. We can go back here. We'll see both the PSC and the compiled PEX file changed. Hello mod. And if later I decide that I want to say that there should be some changed code, I could compile it. Go back. We'll see that these changed stuff. And if we decide, like when we run that, I could boot that up with Skyrim right now, and when we start a new load game, it would say hello mod or whatever, change. If we decide we want to go back to an old version, you just go to history, find your save game. So we'll go to not changed stuff, which will show you can see what you changed. It's really useful. Go to the previous one. So go to the version that has what you want to go back to, and then you can say create branch from commit. Old version. Give it a name that makes sense to you. And now, in Visual Studio Code, it went back to this. And if we wanted to switch to main again, we'd see this. And I think you can change these branches in Visual Studio Code maybe as well under this thingy. I don't use this thingy very much. I use GitHub Desktop. I really just use it to save my stuff as I go along, because otherwise, without save games, I totally break stuff. Plus it has the added benefit of just having your mod out there somewhere. If we wanted to, we could build this mod and release it, and it would be pretty easy. Like, all we would do is we would go to our, like we've shown in previous episodes, go to our project file. We would just turn zip and package on, save, build, and we'll get a build folder that'll have a zip file in it. It's called change the mod name because we need to give it a name. We'll say hello mod 2 or whatever. You would be hello mod. Here's a zip file. If we go back to GitHub Desktop, it shows a change to the PPJ file where we turned on the zip in the package, but it doesn't show the zip because we're ignoring zip files, which is nice. You won't accidentally commit it. And then we can just go to our repository. I'll just get there again with view on GitHub. And when you're there, just create a new release. A lot of folks will actually do this for mod distribution. Just call it like v1 of your mod, alpha mod. Here's what it does, or here are the changes that I made, because you just should describe what it does in your readme file here. Here's the changes that I made, and then you just drag and drop your zip file. So let's go back to hello mod. There's this build folder. Hello mod, just drag it over. Cool, hit publish release. You can say this is a pre-release if you want. And then it shows up on the right. In this episode series, you've seen us download things from GitHub at least once and go to these releases. We did this with Nifscope. And you go here, and there's your zip file. And if we download it, save it like we save mods, we could load it with Mod Organizer 2, add it from our downloads. It's just a mod, hello mod 2. We'll name it hello mod 2 because we have another one. And if we explore it, it's got a BSA. It's missing the damn ESP. I'm sure we broke something in that PPJ. It has the source and everything in it. make sure that it works before you distribute it. Somehow we're missing our ESP. Oh, because we called somehow our ESP got saved as Hello Mod Quest because I was typing things too quickly when I was testing things out. We could literally just do Hello Mod ESP, rebuild, and I won't put it on GitHub again, but now if we go to our build folder, so always look inside your build folder first to see what's there. Mods, hello mod, build, open up the zip file, and for whatever sake, I don't want to waste your time on this. Oh, it's supposed to be called Hello Mod 2. Fine, I'll build it. Now I'll go to the zip file, and it has the ESP in it. I know. Some mistakes. I was going fast. I think you got the gist of it. Gist. If you ever are coding up some Papyrus source code scripts or C++ or whatever, or even if you just have an idea that you don't want to forget, you can go to, now that you are a GitHub user, you can go to gist.github.com, gist, and save some stuff. You can just be like, hey, I found this cool, you could be on a forum and find some Papyrus code from a forum that you don't want to forget, and you could say, you could just paste it into a gist file. You can keep it secret, and secret means it won't show up if people visit your gist page. Like, here's my secret versus not secret gist. And here you have it, and it syntax highlights it and everything for you. It's pretty dope. Hope this doesn't start my intro music. Good. I had this setup broken before, so when I clicked on this, it started the intro music, but I didn't want it to do that. Git and GitHub, I mean, there's a small portion of the community that right now is upset with Nexus mods and is moving away from Nexus mods. So for those folks, I mean, GitHub is a place that they've been going to release their content. So it's a great place for releasing content. I think you should put your stuff on Nexus mods if you want it to be distributed and out there forever. So there's some dogs barking, and on that note, I'm going to say happy modding. Good luck, everyone.